You didn't find this message by chance. You were guided here because your heart is weary. Your faith is trembling. And yet, something inside you refuses to let go. You've tried to move on, haven't you? You told yourself it's over, that it's time to heal, that maybe they were never yours to begin with. But even after all the silence, after all the nights spent asking why, a small spark still flickers inside your chest, and you don't understand why it's still there, why the connection won't fade, why their presence still echoes through your thoughts, no matter how much distance or time has passed. I need you to understand something. That small spark isn't delusion, it isn't weakness, it's not obsession, it's the whisper of something divine, a reminder that not all endings are truly endings. Because while you've been trying to convince yourself to stop caring, God has been doing something in the unseen. The same God who watched you cry when no one else noticed. The same God who saw you try to stay strong while your heart shattered quietly. He never left. He didn't ignore your pain or your confusion. He was working, even when it looked like nothing was happening. You've mistaken his silence for absence, but his silence has been construction. Every delay has been design. Every unanswered prayer has been alignment. You thought you were losing someone, but what you were really losing was the version of them that couldn't stay. The version of them that wasn't ready yet for the love that God ordained. You see, sometimes love doesn't disappear. It gets paused, it gets protected. Because if God allowed that person to stay in your life before they were ready, they would have destroyed the very thing they were meant to cherish. Their words weren't ready, their heart wasn't healed, their spirit wasn't matured. And God, in His mercy, separated what your emotions were begging to keep so that He could prepare it in peace. That's why it felt like they vanished without reason. That's why it seemed like they grew distant when everything was finally starting to feel right. But God knew that if He didn't step in, the pain later would be far worse than the confusion now. You've replayed everything in your head 1,000 times. The last conversation, the look in their eyes, the silence that followed. You've blamed yourself for what went wrong. Maybe you think you said too much, loved too deeply, held on too tightly. But hear me, this wasn't punishment. This wasn't failure. This was divine protection disguised as heartbreak. God removed you not because you were unworthy, but because He needed to work on them separately. He needed to strip away everything false, everything fearful, everything broken inside of them that you couldn't fix, no matter how much love you gave. And now, while you're sitting here wondering if you should finally let go, Heaven is whispering, don't, not yet. Not while God's still moving. Not while He's still molding this person into who they were always meant to be. You don't have to chase them. You don't have to beg for clarity. You don't have to try to make them see your worth. That's God's job now. What He's doing behind the curtain is something only time and obedience will reveal. Because what He's preparing isn't a simple reunion. It's a resurrection. He's bringing back something that died, but when it returns it will return new. And I know waiting feels unbearable. It feels like standing in a hallway between two doors, one that closed too soon and one that refuses to open. Every part of you wants to run, to escape the ache of not knowing. But if you could see what God is doing behind the scenes, you would understand why He's asking you to stay still. He's teaching this person lessons that only distance could teach. He's confronting them with their own patterns, their fears, their pride. He's making them see what they couldn't see when you were near. Because when you were close, they took your light for granted. Now in the silence, that light haunts them, and slowly they're realizing what they lost. But this isn't just about them. This process is transforming you too. Every day you choose faith instead of bitterness, you are growing. Every time you surrender your pain instead of chasing answers, you are aligning with God's timing. You're learning how to love without attachment, how to hope without desperation, how to trust without evidence. You think you're waiting for them, but truly God is using this time to refine you, to strengthen your spirit so that when this person is restored you can meet them not from a place of pain, but from peace. Don't mistake stillness for stagnation. Don't confuse silence with abandonment. The waiting season is sacred. It's where the invisible becomes visible, where the unseen plans of heaven begin to take form. Right now, angels are working through circumstances you don't know about. Conversations are being shifted, hearts are being softened, memories are resurfacing in that person's mind, reminders of moments with you that once seemed ordinary, but are now echoing with divine significance. That ache you feel when you think of them, they feel it too. They just don't know what to call it yet. So don't give up. Don't close your heart. Don't curse what God is blessing in disguise. This isn't a coincidence. This is confirmation. The same spirit that led you to this message is the same one that's stirring in their heart tonight. They're being drawn, they're being awakened, they're being rebuilt. They may not reach out today. They may still seem distant. But every day they're moving closer to the realization that what they walked away from was never meant to be replaced. It was meant to be restored, and when that restoration comes, and it will, it won't look like what you imagined. It won't come through forced communication or emotional pursuit. It will arrive through surrender. One day, without warning, the door that's been closed will open, and you'll see the fingerprints of God all over it. You'll recognize it not by their words but by their peace. You'll know it's divine, because it won't bring confusion, only clarity. It won't resurrect old wounds, only healing. It won't be rushed, it will be right. But until that day, hold on, keep your faith anchored, because what's being written right now in the unseen will soon become your visible testimony. I know you're tired. You've prayed until the words no longer come out the same way. You've whispered their name in half-finished sentences, hoping the universe would understand what your heart was trying to say. You've told yourself that maybe this story was meant to end here. But somewhere between your heartbreak and your hope, God has been preparing something you can't see. He heard every word you spoke in the quiet, every tear that fell when no one was watching. None of it was wasted. Every sigh, every question, every restless night became material in His hands. He's been weaving meaning out of your waiting, shaping strength out of your sorrow. The hardest part of faith is trusting the unseen when the visible looks hopeless. You look at their social media, their life, their silence, and it feels like proof that you've been forgotten. But faith doesn't need proof. Faith begins exactly where evidence ends. What you see isn't the whole story. While you stare at closed doors, God is opening new ones in places your eyes can't reach. He's not ignoring you. He's protecting the process. Because premature restoration can destroy what divine timing intends to heal. And that's why the distance remains. Not because He's punishing you, but because He's perfecting something far greater. There's a reason this bond still lingers. You feel it even when you try not to. You sense their energy in moments that shouldn't remind you of them. It's because the connection was never purely emotional. It was spiritual. God planted something between your souls that human logic can't dissect. You were sent into each other's lives for growth, not destruction. And though the chapters feel torn, the story is still being written. You may not be able to see the pen move, but heaven's author hasn't stopped writing. Every silence is a comma, not a full stop. They are wrestling with themselves more than you know. God is confronting them with their own reflection, showing them what they ran from. They thought walking away would bring peace, but instead it awakened emptiness. They smile on the surface, but at night they feel the absence like a shadow they can't shake. They're learning that distractions don't heal, they only delay the truth. God is dismantling the illusions they built to avoid the pain of growth. He's stripping away the comfort zones, forcing them to face the reality that what they had with you was sacred. And slowly conviction is replacing confusion. You might wonder, why me? Why do I have to be the one who keeps believing? Because God chose you to stand in the gap. He knew your heart was strong enough to hold faith for two when theirs was fading. You've been entrusted with intercession, not obsession. Your love isn't foolish, it's prophetic. It carries purpose beyond romance. It's the vessel through which grace flows. So when you feel like giving up, remember you're not just waiting for a person. You're partnering with God's plan for both of your destinies. Still, He doesn't want you trapped in longing. He wants you living while you wait. Growth isn't found in staring at closed doors, it's found in walking with Him while the doors are being prepared to open.
Use this season to rediscover yourself, the version of you that exists beyond pain, beyond attachment. Build your dreams, strengthen your faith, expand your peace. Because when that person returns, God doesn't want to find you empty. He wants to find you radiant, full of purpose, full of love that isn't desperate, full of the quiet strength that only comes from surrender. Every moment you choose peace over panic, heaven takes notice. Every time you let go instead of clinging, the atmosphere shifts. Every time you whisper, "I trust you, God," the spiritual timeline accelerates. What you think is delay is actually divine synchronization. The lesson you're learning right now is holy patience, the ability to believe in promises without needing proof. Because the proof will come later, but the faith must come first. God is using this waiting to sculpt your heart into the shape of endurance. And when He's finished, nothing, not even silence, will be able to shake your belief in His goodness. Maybe you've noticed subtle signs lately, dreams that feel too real, random reminders of them appearing at strange times, songs that echo your exact thoughts. These aren't coincidences, they're confirmations. God is gently showing you that He hasn't forgotten. He's aligning both paths, quietly bringing hearts back into orbit. The signs aren't meant to make you anxious. They're meant to remind you that heaven is closer than you think. So instead of questioning every detail, rest. Rest in the assurance that God's hand is moving, even when your eyes see nothing. And yes, there are moments when you'll doubt again, when the ache returns like an old wound reopening, when hope feels foolish and surrender feels impossible. In those moments, don't run from God, run to Him. Tell Him the truth. Tell Him you're tired. Tell Him you don't understand. He won't be offended. He'll meet you in that honesty with peace. Because faith isn't pretending you're strong. It's admitting your weakness and trusting He's still working through it. The cracks in your heart aren't flaws. They're spaces for His light to enter. So tonight, if you're listening to this with tears in your eyes, take it as your confirmation. Don't give up. Don't let your weary mind convince your faithful heart to stop believing. The story isn't finished, and neither are you. What God has started, He will complete. What was separated will be aligned. What was broken will be restored. It might not happen in the way you imagine or through the path you planned, but it will happen in the way that brings the most glory to Him and the most healing to you. Hold on a little longer. Heaven is already moving.
There will come a morning when you wake up and feel a strange calm instead of pain. You won't understand it at first. You'll think maybe you finally stopped caring. Maybe you finally detached. But that peace won't mean indifference. It will mean alignment. It's the kind of peace that arrives when heaven takes over. You'll start to notice that you no longer need to chase, no longer need to control, no longer need to prove. Because when God takes control, your only job is to rest. That peace will be your sign. It will whisper to you that the battle is no longer yours, that restoration has entered its silent phase, the stage where miracles start forming quietly before they show up in full color. Right now, God is dealing with that person's heart in ways words can't describe. He's breaking pride, removing masks, confronting patterns that have existed for years. He's replaying moments between you two in their mind, not to shame them, but to awaken them. They're remembering how you made them feel safe. They're realizing that no distraction fills the space your soul left behind. They're questioning decisions that once seemed certain. The things they used to chase no longer taste the same, because God is draining the sweetness out of counterfeits. He's preparing their spirit to recognize truth when they see it, and that truth is you. But here's the part most people miss. Restoration doesn't just bring two people back together. It brings them back transformed. When they come, they won't just come with words. They'll come with awareness. They'll see the value of love that endures, the strength of the one who waited, the divine fingerprints all over your connection. And you'll look at them and realize that the waiting wasn't wasted. It was a refinement. God was shaping both of you into the kind of souls who could handle the love He always intended you to share. Because true restoration doesn't return what was lost. It gives you something better than before. And I know there's still fear hiding in your heart. Fear that maybe you're imagining all of this. Fear that maybe the silence means it's really over. But that fear isn't truth, it's just noise. Fear is what tries to speak the loudest right before a breakthrough. And that's how you know you're close. When everything in you starts screaming to give up, that's the enemy trying to stop what's already in motion. Don't listen to those lies. Faith is quiet, but unshakable. It doesn't need to shout to be real. It just stands there, still steady, anchored in God's word, that what He joins no distance can destroy. You've probably felt the urge to reach out again, to text, to explain yourself one more time, to see if maybe they're finally ready. But God keeps holding your hand back for a reason. Because this isn't about chasing closure, it's about trusting divine completion. If He wanted you to send that message, the peace would be there. Instead, He gives you restraint, and that restraint is sacred. It's your spirit's way of saying, I'll wait until God moves. Sometimes silence is the loudest faith you can show. It's saying to heaven, I believe you enough not to interfere. That kind of surrender shakes the spiritual realm. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. You are not waiting in vain. The enemy wants to convince you that this pain means you're abandoned, but in truth it means you're chosen. God gives His toughest waiting seasons to His most trusted hearts, because He knows you won't give up easily. You are carrying something rare, a love anchored in prayer, not desperation. That's why it feels heavier than what most people experience. You're not dealing with ordinary love, you're part of a divine assignment, and with that comes a higher level of endurance. Because heaven doesn't waste endurance, it multiplies it. Every day that passes, alignment gets closer. The lessons being learned on both sides are converging. The memories that once hurt are becoming seeds for gratitude. God is healing communication, maturing emotions, strengthening spiritual foundations. He's removing people from their life who distract them from His plan. He's closing doors that lead them away from you. Even the chaos they're experiencing is divine correction disguised as confusion. It's all part of the preparation. Because when they finally see things clearly, they'll return not out of loneliness, but out of revelation. And when that moment arrives, it won't need explanation. You won't have to ask why, or how, or what changed. You'll just know. The atmosphere will feel different. Their energy will carry peace instead of uncertainty. Their presence will feel like home instead of chaos. You'll see God's reflection in their actions, not just in their words. And the same God who told you not to give up will whisper again. Now, that will be your sign. The release to step forward, to rebuild, to love again without fear. Because this time it won't crumble. This time it will be blessed. But until that day, protect your spirit. Guard your peace. Keep your focus on the one who orchestrates everything. Don't let impatience rob you of your miracle. Every second you stay in faith, something in the unseen shifts. Angels move, circumstances align. The hearts of men and women turn in the direction of destiny. You don't have to force what's already written. You just have to stay available, stay faithful, and stay soft. Because when restoration shows up, it won't require you to chase. It will meet you where you are. So take a deep breath. Let this be your reminder that you are seen, loved, and chosen for a story that's still unfolding. Don't give up on this person, not because of attachment, but because heaven hasn't told you to. Hold space, not control. Wait in peace, not fear. Pray, but don't panic. God hasn't brought you this far to abandon you now. He's preparing a divine reunion that will make sense of every tear, every delay, every night you almost gave up. And when it happens, you'll look back and whisper, now I understand. Because the waiting was never punishment. It was proof that love, when built by God, always returns stronger, purer, and right on time.